Hey guys, this is 97 Lego Maniac. Be sure to check out my other social media accounts and my Patreon. Links are down below. Hey guys, this is 97 Lego Maniac, and this is my first ever custom minifigure tutorial video, I believe, on my main channel. I've done these sort of tutorials back then in my second channel. I think I only uploaded 2 videos, so they're not that relevant anymore. If you're curious, go see my second channel. Links are always down in the description in most of my videos, so feel free to check those out. But it really doesn't matter because I'm going to go over the same thing again, but better in detail. Now, you guys voted. So most of the suggestions that you guys gave me about faces is pretty much the general idea on how to paint a minifigure face. The eyes, the eyebrows, the mouth, wrinkles. I'll go over the male and female components as well. This is just going to be a general idea. I will make like segments of these types of videos that specifically talks about eyes or different types of mouth. If you guys want to figure out how to get likeness to a character you're trying to get, that will be in like separate videos. But there's just so much things to cover in the face. I'll only go over the specific, only the general things, not the specifics. Those are later. So what you see right now, I'm on Sketchbook Pro. The reason why I'm on Sketchbook Pro is simply because when I try to do a tutorial back then in the past, my hands are always blocking the way of the minifigure, so you guys won't see what exactly is going on and how exactly am I placing each individual dots on the minifigure. So I think with the Sketchbook Pro program, I think it will give you guys a general idea of what's actually happening when you apply paint. So it will give you a better understanding. That's what I'm trying to achieve. And just a disclaimer, I will not make tutorials on how to make a specific figure. So you're never going to see a tutorial from me on how did I make my Vulture minifigure, how did I make my Flash figure. You're not going to expect tutorials from that. This tutorial videos are only meant for as a basic guidelines for you to make your own minifigures. So without further ado, let's just move on, stop wasting time. The first thing you need to know about making a minifigure when you're painting a face is understand the anatomy. And what I mean by understand where things should go. So like for example, I'm going to paint like the middle line here. So as you can see, I'm going to get my pencil tool and draw kind of a straight line. This here is like the middle portion of the minifigure, and this is like pretty much where it's, and this is like it's pretty much, it's like when you're doing like normal drawing, like human figure drawing. Whenever you draw like a circle for a human head, then you put in the sides for like the cheeks, and then you would make this cross pattern. And what those are, they're basic guidelines for you to draw different types of eyes, for the nose, and then the mouth. And it's pretty much almost the same thing with a minifigure, but simpler. And if you notice, most minifigures, if you look at them, where their eyes are placed, it's actually like right along the stud of the minifigure, just like this basic drawing that we have. And so you want to follow this so that way you can tell how far apart the eyes are supposed to be. And as for where exactly it should be, where the eye should be on a placement, along on a horizontal line, it should be above. So this could help you when you're making a minifigure. So this is like a basic placement. Mouths are a little bit harder but it's usually in between where the horizontal line is and where the bottom of the base is. Because if you know, minifigures' heads are obviously not perfect spheres. It's pretty much a cylinder around, and at the top and bottom, it's rounded off. So if I draw another line here, this is like where the rounding off starts. So pretty much in between this horizontal line and this intersection point, in the middle, that's where the mouth is supposed to be, right here. So that's pretty much the basic anatomy. Now, how do I make eyes, and how do I paint eyes and mouths? For eyes specifically, we're going to talk about that. I use a bobby pin, and I'll show you guys exactly what I mean. Okay, now we're gonna start painting a minifigure head. Here I have a blank head, and like I said before, if you just grab a pre-existing Lego head, you notice how like the edge of the eye, that's where the stud meets. So use that as your guideline. Now, if you need like an additional help, you can always just stack heads on top of each other and just paint the eyes and just eyeball it. Just guess where it's supposed to be. Now, the paint I use is an apple barrel, and they're pretty cheap, and the black paint is actually really good. Now that's a paint that I use. Other people use different paints. Whatever paint works for you, it's okay. So I recommend using these types of bobby pins. You can like borrow some from your sister or mother. I actually stole this from my younger sister, and I encourage getting the one that has a ball on the top. There's actually some like bobby pins that are pretty much like a flat piece with a semicircle down. I don't recommend those because I think those are a little bit harder to use. I highly recommend the spherical ones. So you just want to dab a little bit of black paint onto the bobby pin, so that way you can get that way you can have enough paint. So that way, because if you put in too much paint, it's going to be a big eye. If you put in a little paint, it's going to be a smaller eye. So you got to make sure it's exactly right. So this is what it looks like when I apply paint onto the minifigure. So you can see that there's one eye right there. Now it's not perfect. Painting eyes are very difficult. It's really hard to get right. That's why I try to avoid painting eyes. What I usually do, I just get a pre-existing minifigure head and I just erase the mouth off with a pencil eraser and just keep the eye. That's what I mostly do nowadays because painting eyes are a big pain in the ass. So, but let's say this is a perfect eye. All right, let's just say. Now painting it onto. Now getting it symmetrical is probably the hardest part. So you really got to work with it and be very careful about what you do. Alright, so I guess that's not too bad. So there's two eyes. You got it right there. Now, now onto like the pupils. White paint is actually not fun to use. White paint, it's the opposite of black. It's clunky. It's not as smooth, and you got to use a whole lot of water. So what I recommend doing is just when you open the cap, just apply a little bit of water with a brush. Don't add way too much or else it's going to be super watery. You don't want that. Try applying enough water as you can onto the paint so you can get a nice smooth paint. Now what I use for like the pupils of the eye are actually toothpicks. Toothpicks are especially very useful when it comes to tiny dots. So here's the toothpick. As you can see, the toothpick looks kind of strange. What I recommend doing, not all toothpicks comes like this. So what I use an X-Acto knife to like whittle out the toothpick to make it a little bit sharper. So it's like how you're sharpening a knife or stuff, or like what cavemen do back then when they're sharpening their sticks. That's exactly what I use for the toothpick. So you can see I'm whittling it right now, and let's just cut to the next scene when it's like, so show you what it looks like when it's completely finished. Here's what an ordinary toothpick looks like, and here's what a whittled toothpick looks like. So I made this one a little bit sharper, so that way when you're making tiny dots, it's actually easier. So to do that, once after your white paint's like all has enough water, you just dab a little bit at the top, and you apply them on on the top of the black part of the eye. And there you have one pupil. So if the camera could focus in a bit, that would be fantastic. So there you have like one pupil now. So it takes a lot of practice. I'm just rushing this. I'm just showing you guys. This is pretty much how you would do it. That's how I believe most customizers would do it. I did this like for many times when I paint face. So here we have like the standard basics of the eye. So that's pretty much the general idea of an eye. Now it's time for eyelashes. Eyelashes can be a little bit tricky, but we'll use black paint for an example here. So what would you do for like for some minifigures actually have like little like arcs around the top of their eye. It is to signify some sort of an expression, almost like if they're like kind of like squinting a bit. So if you want to do that method, what you want to do, it's not that bad. Like you don't have to paint thin lines, but you can just make sure you get like a nice arc around the eye. So I'm gonna apply a lot of black paint here. and once it dries, and we're gonna have to wait for this to dry so we can finish off the rest. Acrylic paint really doesn't take that long to dry out, which is a good thing. Now once it's finally dry, you're gonna use a toothpick. I don't know, besides dropping that, you're gonna have to and you have to carefully like scrape off the excess paint, just like that. This is what I mainly use toothpicks for. I don't use toothpicks to paint things. I don't think toothpicks are that reliable. Some people can actually paint thin lines with toothpicks very well for some reason. I just can't. I only depend on the brush most of the time, and only the toothpick for like scraping off excess paint. So here we have like one eye right here, and then that signifies some sort of an expression going on. And for eyebrows, pretty much like it's almost the exact same thing. So we're gonna paint that again. Well, let's do it on this eye this time. The problem with eyebrows, it's once you get one right, it's hard to make it symmetrical to the other side. But here's pretty much one basic eyebrow. It's just like one paint stroke. Now if you actually made it too big or you don't like the shape of it, again, you can use like a toothpick to scrape off the excess detail if you want. So you can make it thinner. I'll make it thinner in this case. So there's like one example. So there's that. Now into like like if you're making a female figure, those tend to be a little bit tricky. You can see that they have like these little cat eyelashes. I believe that's what they're called on their eye. But you also notice that there's like these 3 little lines like sticking out. Those are kind of hard to achieve, but there is a way around that. Most customizers might like start off at the end first and then work their way inside. What I like to do, I like to start on the inside first to save some time. So we're gonna apply like one stroke here, just like that, and then when it's finished, when it's done drying, I'm just gonna do it just to save some time. I scrape off that so I have like the edge of one eyelash, and then I just keep going. And I just keep scraping off all the excess paint. Now onto like the second line of the eyelash. So pretty much you do the exact same thing, but make sure you do not touch the edge of it. And if you accidentally do like what I just did, you can just easily just scrape that off. It takes a lot of work. So there, as you can see, you can barely see it, but you can kind of see there's like 2 separations going on right there. That's pretty much the standard what you have to do when you're making an eyelash. Now we're gonna like skip towards the end so you can see the final result. So there we have like one example. Now obviously it doesn't look this good, but it's just for the sake of this tutorial. You see, just like what Lego had, you have 3 little and tiny lines curling up, and that's pretty much like how you make like female eyes. Now onto the mouth. Mouths are really not that bad. They're pretty much, you can just like paint like a straight line, like along the center line, like between the center line and the bottom portion of the cylinder, and you just use like a toothpick and scrape off the excess detail, like what I'm doing right now. So that's pretty much like the general basis of how you actually paint a minifigure's face. I'll do more like tutorials, like specifically talk more about like different eyebrows or other male and female facial expressions. I'll definitely get to like how can you paint a likeness to a character. That mostly has to do with sketching. We'll go over that later. So that's pretty much my first tutorial. Hopefully the series will be popular. And if you guys have any other suggestions, like what else you want to know, like if you want to learn some sculpting tips, maybe e-tape or fabric, if you guys want to know anything about that, let me know in the comments down below. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.